Okay. Hey guys, what's up? This is the game Matrix 1000. One thing I wanted to talk about. Um, Now I said in the video that we'll talk about game discussions, and so this will be my first video talking about a game that's up and coming. It's coming out next year, and that's Mass Effect 3. Now, if you are a Xbox owner, you're on the Xbox 360. I tell anybody who's an Xbox 360 owner, one game that you have to get is the Mass Effect series. Mass Effect is one of the greatest games, not only for the Xbox, but I just think in general of all times, one of the best games. So Mass Effect 3 comes out next year, but to just kind of give you a little background story of what Mass Effect really is about and things that you can do. You start off as this created character named Commander Shepard. He's a created character that you can create yourself, facial features you can create, or whatever. Point of the game is that you start off as a soldier named Commander Shepard, who works for like a human rights movement. I can't think of the name, called not Cerberus. I forgot the name of this human rights movement in outer space, because humans are like new to the galaxy. So what happens is that you end up going on this amazing, fantastic adventure with up to 9 to 8 different crew members in the game to stop an evil alien invasion, an ancient alien invasion that a lot of people thought only existed in fairy tales, or just something that used to live years ago, but no longer exist, in present current date. And you go on this, fantastic journey throughout the galaxy, proving them wrong, gives them evidence like, hey, these ancient aliens that you guys think never existed or only exist in child stories are actually real, and they're coming back, and they're coming back to take over the universe. So that's pretty much like the whole big main plot of it, really. And it's 3 series of the Mass Effect games. So you have Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, which comes out, which will be the last and final installment of the series, which comes out in March of next year. So that's pretty much like the whole, summary of the main big story. But what really makes the Mass Effect unbelievable and so enriched is the enriched storytelling of this game. You can build relationships with your characters. And when I say with your characters, I mean your teammates, because you start off in Mass Effect 1 and in 2, and you recruit team members, from different parts of the galaxy. And you bring them together, and you solve your missions and whatnot. And like I said, that's one of the things that to me that sticks out the most, is because Mass Effect has done something that a lot of games are trying to do, but very few can accomplish, and that's great storytelling. And to me, Mass Effect is the perfect storm of what a good storytelling-based game should be. It has good storytelling. You can build relationships with your crew members, and what I mean by that is, you'll have the leading female cast on the game. If you want, you can choose to fall in love with this lead female character, or just keep your relationship, on a mutual friendship basis like that. And one of the great things about the Mass Effect series is that whatever you do in the game has a certain outcome. It has a different outcome each and every time you do something different. So this is what makes Mass Effect phenomenal. Graphically, Mass Effect is just a gorgeous game graphically. Now, if you played the first Mass Effect when it first came out for Xbox 360 back in 2007, it might not be like on par with some of the other games graphically right now out in 2011, like Arkham City or Assassin's Creed or whatnot. But they're still just fantastic games. And if you play Mass Effect 1 or Mass Effect 2, and even 3 that comes out next year, you put in your game system with an HDMI cable. My God, you're talking about the graphics are already good, but combined with the HDMI cables, my God, it's like you're looking at a CGI 3D movie. So graphically, this game is just gorgeous, beautiful, The lip synchronization of, when the characters talk, their words match their lips. They aren't choppy like a lot of other games. The voice cast of this game is phenomenal. Some pretty well-known stars. Seth Green, who you guys may know, does the voice of Chris from Family Guy, and also played off Married with Children, and also the creator of Robot Chicken. Seth Green does the voice of one of the main cast in the series. You have Yvonne Strakovsky, the hot girl from Chuck, leading cast of Chuck. She had a major role in this game. So the list, the cast of people doing the voices of these characters is great. They give believability and emotion to these characters. Another thing that's great about this game is that the characters you actually fall in love with, because no character is the same. When you get a lot of games where some of the characters are kind of similar, but in Mass Effect, no character is similar. They're all different from they're different from each other. They have something that sets them apart from one another. Whether one may be a religious assassin who seeks to find inner peace. Another is a social psychopath who just kills and destroys everything in her way. And while another may just be a simple good soldier man. And all of these characters, more specifically your teammates, have they have their own story, to tell. They have their own background story to explain why they do the things that they do, and how they came to be who they are. They all have their different background stories, and because they have each character has their own different background story, it just adds a layer of realism to the characters, and it just brings them to life. And you really feel for these characters, because a lot of times the choices that you make in the game can have a certain outcome or effect where a certain team member might die, and if you become emotionally attached to a certain team member that might die, you feel bad for that character. It's like, man, this was one of my favorite teammates on this game, and they died. So the game gets you emotionally involved. It really does, and that's something that I think a lot of games try to do, but not a lot can really accomplish. And Mass Effect is one of those few games where it gets you emotionally involved into the characters, into what you're doing. As far as the gameplay is great. You can customize your weapons. Depending on what rank you choose, you can have super powers or abilities. The boss fights are pretty difficult or challenging, but that's the beauty of the game. And one thing too that makes Mass Effect, I think, even better is that whatever you do in one game, it carries over into the next. So, for example, if you do something in the first game, whatever you do, if you have your saved data from the first Mass Effect and then you play the second, whatever you've done in the first game carries over and affects and has different effects and outcome in the second game. Whatever you do in the second game, in the first and second game, you still have the data stored in your system. And once the third game comes out, whatever you did in the second game and first carries over on into the third game. And the best thing about this is that no matter how many different ways or different options and different things you choose in the Mass Effect, it always has different outcomes when you carry on to the next Mass Effect platform. It carries over. It's always a different outcome, and it carries on to something next. So the replay value for Mass Effect makes it very, very high, because what I might do in the first game will carry on into the second, and what you may do in the first game and carry on to the second, which will carry on to the third, may have a different outcome than what I do. So I love the freedom of choice that they really give you in this game. Mass Effect to me is I consider one of the greatest games of all time. I recommend you guys really pick this game up. Mass Effect 3, which is the final installment, for the series. Comes out next year, March 6th. But before you get into that, I recommend you guys really pick up the first two, Mass Effect 1, which you can get at any GameStop for like $20 pre-owned. Get Mass Effect 2. I also recommend you to get Mass Effect 2, but you can also get at any GameStop for like $20, or even at Target, brand new sealed, will be like on their greatest hits wall, and you can get that for like 20 or 30 for Mass Effect 2. So you can get Mass Effect 1 and 2 for some really cheap, good prices. The game has such longevity. It's not one of those, and that's nothing why I love the game. It's not one of those games where you're gonna beat it in 3 days and then you put it down. It's not like that at all. Replay value really high, and rich storytelling, great voice cast, great dialogue, great gameplay, gorgeous graphics, even more gorgeous if you have HDMI cables. Just one of the best sci-fi slash story-based games I've ever played. If you have an Xbox 360, I highly recommend you get into the Mass Effect series. Even if the first Mass Effect is 4 years old, and then the second one is about a year and a half old, still get these games because they're that good. It's like a Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. That game was, and that's for the original Xbox, and I still play that regardless of how crappy the graphics may be now compared to current gen consoles. So I definitely recommend you guys pick this up. And like I said, if you get Mass Effect 1 and 2, it's so long and so many different optional things you can do in these games. If you get Mass Effect 1 and 2 now, you're gonna be busy from now all the way until Mass Effect 3 comes out. I guarantee it's gonna take you at least about a good month just to finish one game. So if you get both games now, you'll be ready for Mass Effect 3. That way, you'll have the story, you'll know the characters and everything else, and then you'll be ready for Mass Effect 3 when that comes out. And that, I know, will be worth the full $60 price. So, let me know what you guys think about this Mass Effect. Have you ever heard of it? Have you ever played these games? Do you like them? Don't like it? Are you interested in it? Comment, subscribe. Peace.